wanted to welcome you on board here. We're a new representative firm working with Valpak to help you to grow your business. And the bottom line is that it's a lot of contact for not a lot of dollars. And so we'll talk a whole lot more about the Valpak program, what they're offering you, and how it can help you to grow your business, and really what others have experienced as well in the space that you're in, because they really do a nice job with supporting painters across the nation. So this is me, except that was when I had a beard, and my wife made me shave off the beard because it's not good to have a beard with this virus thing going around. And I've been doing print marketing, mailing for 4 decades. So I'm proud to work with a team of 30 people here at Plum Grove with design, print, mail, all kinds of expertise, and many of them have been with us for decades. So we're here to help you to grow your business, and that's really the business we're in, is growing your business. As all of us know, our world has changed. Our marketing and sales activities have changed, and what worked for us 2 weeks ago no longer is allowed. It's frowned upon, and networking, referrals, and sales calls are all really hard things to do nowadays. And so recently we were ready with Valpak about a month ago, or even maybe a little farther back than that. But with the changes that were coming, we kind of held off, and then all of a sudden we were getting phone calls and emails from Fresh Coat painting franchisees saying, I need help, I need to figure out what I can do. We need another lead gen tool. So we moved quickly to get the designs done and get you the information that you need in order to make investments for the future, to get the painters and your crews starting working again. We've been doing mail for most of the last 40 years, and mail rocks. I personally get about 400 or 500 emails a day. I do look at the subject lines, and then I hit delete. Mail has got an immediacy that you don't see with most other media, because it asks for the order. It's something that when we're not working at home, we look at. When we first come home, we pick up the mail, look at the bills, and we get some advertising opportunity time. It's definitely an interruption in somebody's day where they get to see your branding and your message and your call to action. The post office will handle 500 million pieces of mail a day, and the amazing thing is when you think about 350,000 pieces a minute going through 24/7 through their place. It's amazing, the volume of mail, and it really is a testimony to the fact that mail is still and in some ways a growing viable opportunity for us as marketers. The mail is a bit different today because many of us are working at home. And those folks who are working at home are sitting in front of a computer screen many hours if they're not tutoring their kids. And when that mail arrives at 2 p.m, it gives them a great chance to stretch their legs, walk out to the mailbox, and take a little time away from that computer screen and shop the Valpak coupons and shop the rest of their mail as well. So we're actually seeing a real nice resurgence in mail. I got a phone call from a client, or a new potential client out of California, and he was real excited. He said his mail has been working real well, and he wants to continue to grow it. So it was great to hear that is truly a testimony to the experience. What makes good mail? In the years that I've been in business, the one thing that I see is that most of the folks that are in the business of talking about advertising come from the creative field. They're designers by training and background, and so the focus very often is on the creative. And from my experience, the creative is really important. What the colors are and the fonts and the look of the piece. But more important than that is the mailing list, who you're reaching. If you can reach people who are interested in what you're selling, obviously your response rates go through the roof. And then the call to action. What is it that makes people pick up the phone, or again, a change in the world, go to the internet and look at your website and your reviews. And so this is the formula that we propose that people think about when they're preparing. Now, it's not exactly in these ratios and percentages, but it's kind of turning the world on its head and the marketing world on its head, because it's not how most designers think about. Design is real important, but it's really got to be the just one part of the other components. Which leads us to our friends at Valpak and the blue envelope. Many of you probably receive this at your house. Some of you may shop it. Others of you may not be interested in this kind of advertising. Personally, my experience with the blue envelope and with share mail advertising is that when I'm in the market for a service, so it might be painting, or it might be chimney repair, or the septic tank needs to be pumped. That was this week. I'll open up the pack looking for an opportunity. Valpak has actually taken it a step further, and they're even getting more aggressive now in the coming months. They actually put a $100 check inside of many of the envelopes that they mail in order to bribe people to go through the coupons that you're putting in their envelope. So they're actually going to expand that to be, I think the number that I heard is they're going to be putting $2,500 coupons in some of the envelopes that are going out as a way of, again, kind of encouraging folks to read the mail. So we do live in a world where we don't call it a bribe, but the airlines give us airline miles when we fly on their airlines, and the credit card companies give us a 2% or 1% commission on using their credit card. So we kind of have a little bit of a bribe to look at our mail in this case, or participate in buying from certain merchants. One of the things that's changed in direct mail, and this is really critical because it's if folks have been doing mail for a long time, or they're going in and out of doing solo mail, direct mail, people are saying to me, "Hey, I don't get as many phone calls as I used to." Well, you don't. And the reason you don't is because the first thing that people do when they get your coupon from FreshCoat is they go to the internet and they look at your reviews. And the cool part of FreshCoat is that you're part of an organization that gives you a great brand experience when they go to the internet. And reviews and the content on your website and the photography on your website and all of that is a crucial part of the buying process. They're not going to call you. They might call you off the coupon, but pretty typically the process is to go to the internet and look you up to see what it says about you first, and then either they'll make the phone call or send you an email. And so we've seen that actually with FreshCoat advertising and direct mail we've done in the past is a surge in traffic and visit to the FreshCoat website when we did the analytics, and we saw the traffic go up on direct mail campaigns we did for a couple of folks down in Texas. The blue envelope is another way to reach people. Obviously, it's in a shared mail, so the cost is significantly lower, but you get those people that are shopping. One of the things I mentioned early slide is 40%. You want 40% of the thing that's important is the mailing list. So what Valpak has done is it sets up buckets of mailings that are 10,000 households, and they call those neighborhood trade areas. We'll talk a bit more about that later on. And what they do is they make it so that you are reaching homeowners. You're reaching homeowners with higher home values. You're reaching homeowners with college education and owner-occupied, because those are the people most likely to respond. So they don't just say, okay, I'm going to mail to everybody in this zip code, and it's 17,000 homes. They pick the best 10,000 highest income, highest home value, highest education level homes, and single family or maybe condos and townhomes, but that's who they're going to mail to for you. So that's who's getting that envelope. And it makes a big difference compared to some of the competitors to Valpak. One of the reasons we partnered with them is because of the strength of their mailing list and the way they set up their neighborhood trade areas. These are the top 25 areas that Valpak has found that people respond to, and no surprise, there's about 7 or 8 in the food space. People like those pizza coupons, and their nail salons and ice cream shops, and let's see if I can hide this little thing down here. But an awful lot of these are in the home services space. Everything, the windows, glass and door, heating and air, so on through the list. So you can see an awful lot of home service shopping is done in the Valpak coupon deck, and those are some of their best categories in terms of response. Valpak actually had some testimonials from people who are willing to raise their hand and say, hey, I love Valpak, this has been great. So just wanted to share a couple of things that these folks have done. You'll see the coupon here. The one side has got offers on it, and the other side is branding. This is, we'll talk a little bit more about how that works for you, but Kathy was mailing two areas, so she was mailing 20,000 homes and had 15 calls and closed about 90% of the leads. So, Kathy is actually the sales rep. Mark is the owner of this Pearl Painting Company in, I think they were in upstate New York, as I recall correctly. So nice to see those kind of numbers. It's not, if you think about reaching 20,000 people and only getting 15 calls, it's not a pretty high percentage. People always ask me, what kind of response rate should I get? Should I expect a 5% response rate? Well, no, but for a bit more than $500 to get 15 calls and maybe close 10 or 12 of those people into $1,000 projects, and those people come back year after year, you can see a really nice return on investment for this advertising. And here's another testimonial and again, this person put on 3 different offers on their coupon with different sized jobs. This slide is this is going to be scary. The scary part. This slide is the typical programs of the most successful mailers, and my comment here is, one of the things that I experience in marketing is people call me up and they say, hey, I want to mail 400 people in this area here and see what happens. And my answer back to them is it scalable? If it works, do you have 4,000 or 40,000 or 400,000 people that you can do that same mailing to? Because if it's not scalable, to go spend money on a test is not a good investment in advertising. Of course, if you're selling something that's a $100,000 product, maybe it is. But you can see painting and wall coverings services, their most successful advertisers are mailing 7 zones, and that's what that first number is, and they're mailing 8 times. So they're mailing 56 times a year to over 500,000 coupons they're delivering into their markets from their most successful advertisers. So that is a major tens of thousands of dollars in investment But if you're getting 6 or 7 leads out of every one of those 56 mailings that goes out, you can kind of see quickly, do the math on how that can transform your business into something completely different. And that's one of the reasons that I'm anxious to get somebody in and testing and mailing 2 or 3 times, or 2 or 3 territories, or both, because if we can help and get more Fresh Coat franchisees trying this and testing it and figuring out what works best, all of the whole franchise organization will become that much stronger going forward. This is actually based on call tracking. So for Valpak will actually set it up with a dedicated phone number. So that's one of the reasons that they know these programs have worked at these sizes, is because they actually track the number of phone calls that have come in. Of course, it's going to be up to you to close those leads, but that's the program. And of course, we're all living in a world that's completely different than it was 30 or 60 days ago. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out and what kind of response rates you get. We're actually looking at probably most likely having the first mail drop for any of you who sign up today being in the middle of May. Again, it's kind of the nature of the program that it takes a little while to get launched. But and by then, I think our shelter at home will maybe the new normal, or maybe we'll start to be getting out of our houses by the end of May or into June. So this slide here talks about some of the stuff that they found to be at Valpak to be the best coupons. Not going to spend a lot of time on it, but free is not always best. Some of these, they buy one get one. Paint one room, get the second one free, or buy the second one half one. But I laugh. I get a fair number of emails from people who don't understand this concept. My wife gets the Ulta coupon at home, and the Ulta coupon says $5 off anything you want to buy, or Bed Bath & Beyond says 20% off any one item. There are very few restrictions on that. They really want you to come into the store because they know you're going to buy a whole lot more. And on the other hand, I get one of my restaurants that we like to go to will send me an offer for a free dessert if I buy a meal that I really am not interested in eating. And it's like, I know they really want me to try that, but it's not something that I want because I don't like that particular food. So why are they doing that? Do they want me in the restaurant? Give me something that I can actually use to get me back in the restaurant. These are some of the recommended offerings that Valpak has. At the end of this presentation, we'll send these slides to you so you can take some time to review it and see what you think would work in your market, because obviously it's a different market in Los Angeles than it is in Texas or in downstate Illinois. So that'll vary. But these are some of the suggestions that, again, they have found rings the phone for their painters across America. And again, the amount of research that Valpak does is phenomenal at helping you to be successful. And the only reason they want you to be successful is because they don't make any money when you buy one coupon at $275. They want you buying 4 and 5 territories and every single month or every other month, because that's how they're going to make money, and that's how you're going to make more money too. And they know it. Win-win. So here's a coupon after we've kind of covered ideas and the best suggestions. Here's the coupon side of the Fresh Coat mailer that we've got designed for you. Lots of places for customization. We can change these coupons to fit you, although these were 2 of the ones that were suggested. It definitely looks at scaling up, so it's looking for a $500 or $1,000 project. Talks about your services. We can certainly customize. If you don't do carpentry, we can take that off. You got your phone number, your obviously your email, your website, so lots of ways for people to reach you. Some of you have license that's requirements that you need to have on the piece as well. It's ready to go. This is the side that faces the front. All of the offer sides face the front of the Valpak deck. We've got to make sure that people are looking at all of the call to action sides first, and side 2 is your branding story. And so here's a chance. If you don't do deck work, we can obviously flop that photo out. Interior, exterior, whatever the season. Obviously, we're coming into the exterior season for the northern climates now. So we've put the exterior of the home on this one here. And again, another chance to put your phone number on it. The back is, people will look at the back if they're interested in the front. And other than that, when you go home tonight and look at your mail, you'll realize, or if you're at home when the mail arrives, you'll realize all the mail is facing the address side first. And that's what people look at, and they very seldom turn over the mail to look at the back of a postcard or of an envelope. And so the second side is significantly less important than the front. And it's amazing how some of the biggest advertisers in America don't know that the second side is not as important as the address side of a mail piece. Kohl's always puts that sticker for the 30% off on the front of the mail piece. They never put it on the back, and because Kohl's knows how to sell merchandise. Obviously, I'm not going to read all this to you, but it's more testimonial to the fact that Valpak, and down in that third bullet point, they talk about mailing 94 million painting and wall color advertisements last year. Yes, you're going to have competitors in this space, but if you're not there, you're not getting these phone calls. So even if there's 2 or 3 advertisers that are selling painting services in the deck, and they need painting services, well, if you close 30%, that's 30% more business than you had. But if you're stronger on the sales side, there's no reason you can't close 40, 50, or 90%, as we saw that other Valpak deck. And if your competitive painters are chucking a truck, and they go to Chuck's website and it doesn't look like anything much, again, they're going to call you first. So it's one of the things that you've got. I put this slide up just because at the end of this presentation, you're going to get an email. It'll give you a link to the recording. It'll give you the slides if you want to share those with somebody else on your team. It'll also give you a link to book an appointment. And when you set up an appointment to get more information on your area, you're going to see this NTA, which is Valpak's kind of terminology for the zones or the areas that they service. And an NTA is 10,000 households that they're hitting. What they do is they take the 10,000 best in a zip code that has 15,000 households, but some areas don't have 10,000 households in a zip code, or they may have weaker demographics. So they'll actually say, okay, let's take 3,000 from this and 2,000 from these other zip codes to build a 10,000 bucket of homes, so that you get the best response rate because they're higher income, higher home value, more likely to spend money on a painting job. And so that's their terminology for something. We always want to talk about towns or zip codes, but they've said no, that's not going to work for getting you the best response, and it makes sense. Again, I won't read this slide, but it kind of gives you some of the parameters when we get on a conference call with you to talk about neighborhood trade areas. What we've done is we've already built a list, and we've scored that list based on these parameters. So we say to our software, okay, give us an idea of how many people, what's their income, what's their home value, but how likely are they to do a painting project? when was their house built, what's their income, what's the home values. So we plug those things in to actually create a custom scoreboard or spreadsheet for the painting industry, for painters like you, so that you can actually say, okay, there's 10 neighborhood trade areas that I can pick from, but Valpak is saying these 3 or 4 are the top scoring ones based on the parameters that are here on the screen. It's really a very powerful way of getting you the highest response rate, so you get more response and then spend more money buying more coupons. And some of what this looks like is, and these I just grabbed a few screens. I just grabbed pieces out of a spreadsheet to show you what this scoring looks like. This is in upstate New York, and again, you can see the mail quantity is 10,000. The average household incomes are running from 80,000 to 142,000, 143,000. The index, and this index number is interesting. What the average income, if we had a bucket of 10,000 homes, and look at the bottom line there, that Canandaigua the average income is about 80,000, because we know that because it scores 100. So that's kind of the average score, and that means you're going to get an average response out of that bucket. The average score in Pittsford, is 180, which means you probably should get 80% more response from the Pittsford zip code neighborhood zone than you are getting out of the Canandaigua. So it's kind of a good example of how the scoring works. And you can see the home values match up, and you would expect somebody in a higher home value area. It was kind of funny when I was looking at this, just below, building this mini spreadsheet here. Just below this one was a Los Angeles zip code, and the average home value was like $1 million. For the incomes weren't that much higher, but the home values were through the roof compared to upstate New York. But that's kind of the way it is in America, I guess. This is a one piece demographics number 1. I'm calling this. And then they continue that scoring, and again, 100 is the average, and then 197%. It means that you should almost be double in Pittsford, the response based on their purchasing power and the DMA. What DMA says is, again, because Los Angeles may have an average home value of $600,000, and upstate New York may have an average home value of $300,000. They don't compare Los Angeles and upstate New York. They compare upstate New York to the other people in upstate New York, the same neighborhood, the same direct marketing area. So in Pittsford, those folks are twice as likely to respond as the folks in Canandaigua. And you can see that, and then painting and papering is a score that they have. They came up with a power index for painting and papering. So if I was in upstate New York, I would definitely be buying that Pittsford. I might also buy a second one that's in the average to kind of see how the areas compare. Again, if I want to scale something, I test, and then once I test, if I still make money in the Victor mailing because it's 143 score, and I still do great, and I do awesome in Pittsford, I know I've got something, and I can go to Fairport and Honoia Falls, and maybe or maybe not Canandaigua, but I'll know a whole lot more, have more intelligence in terms of what my marketing will be going forward. And the last thing you'll look at is mail dates. Pretty much in many of the areas where a Fresh Cut has franchisees, they're literally dropping every 30 days. And so you can see these are our mail dates going forward through April. We're probably too late to get you into an April mailing. With what's going on in the world, I'd feel a whole lot better about hitting a May date in any case. Give you time to evaluate and and get the coupons the way you want, and then hit the market at these points in May when people are into the new normal, whatever that looks like going forward. Valpak also will give you a exposure on the internet. So if I encourage all of you on the call to when you're done with this session, get on and type in Valpak and put in your local area and see the coupons that come up. So all of the coupons, those two offers that we had, will actually be available to people on the internet. And what happens is, I may have a need for some service, but the coupons have come and gone already at my house, and people who are Valpak shoppers dive in by the millions to see who's got a restaurant or who's got an oil change or who's got a painting thing because it's time to paint. Jimmy's gone to college and it's time to paint the bedroom so that Susie can move into the bigger bedroom. This is available at no extra cost, and Valpak has a whole variety of other internet-related services that they'll offer, and they're included as part of your investment of $275 in your local area.